end up waking up in the hospital, and I had like a double blood transfusion. They don't know if I had like been spiked or if whatever happened. They thought I was on some sort of drugs. I told them, my friends were saying I didn't take no drugs. I was just drinking, and so my heart almost stopped. It was real low. I woke up. They told me, you almost died. Stop drinking. And I have that piece of paper somewhere where from the doctor. It says you almost died. Stop drinking.
Hello and welcome to the Holy Culture Artist Spotlight. I'm Jay Harrington, and with me today is Ayomilly. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Ayo or Millie? Millie, right?
Yeah. I've had some people call me Ayo, and it just didn't feel right.
Yeah, Millie sounds better. Millie sounds better.
Yeah.
So, for those people tuning in, who is Ayomilly?
So I'm a Christian hip hop artist from Toronto, Ontario. That's in Canada. I'm currently based in Texas. I moved out here, but yeah, I'm a Christian hip hop artist.
Oh, nice. When was that move?
I moved July of 2023.
Oh, okay. So recent. How do you like America
recent.
so far?
I like it. I mean, it's a lot cheaper. In my opinion, where I'm at, it's a lot cheaper. Toronto's very expensive, very cold. I moved pretty south. When I say pretty south, I mean I'm right on the border of Mexico. So
oh wow,
I tried to get away from the cold as much as possible. So
yeah, it's pretty chilly up there. And I saw and I don't know how true this is, but I was watching some social media reel or whatever, and they were charging like $200 for like a pack of like chicken. Is that legit, or is that like over exaggerated?
I mean, I don't know about $200. Maybe in some parts of Canada, but in Toronto, I mean, I don't think $200. But again,
like, whoa,
yeah,
what are
no.
they putting in that chicken over there?
It is really expensive, though. That's for sure.
That's wild. Well, welcome to the States. So tell us how you came to Christ.
All right, so I mean that's a hefty story, but to keep it, I grew up in a Christian home, which is, I feel like, pretty typical start to a testimony, but not everyone. But when it comes to a lot of Christian artists, I feel like a lot of us had some sort of influence when we were young. But for me personally, my dad's a pastor. My mom, she was working in the church as well. We grew up in the church. I had the first real challenge that I went through in my walk with Christ. I mean, I was only 8 years old, still kind of figuring out what everything meant. You don't really know what's going on when you're 8 years old. But one of my best friends actually was murdered when I was 8, so that was a big thing that happened in my family, in the community, in the church community, and it was actually her father, which was a good friend of ours, who took her life. So it was a big thing at the time that I didn't really understand. Fast forward to high school, when I'm starting to get to know, myself and what kind of like trying to figure out what life is, and who God is. And I guess I never really had that time to truly understand my emotions and understand like how I was feeling in those moments. So it turned into a lot of lashing out, a lot of rebelling. I've been through a lot. I started doing music in high school, and that's where all this comes from. Is from in high school. I moved schools, and my 12th grade year, there was a studio class that I was a part of, actually, and that's where I learned how to use GarageBand and everything, and start to learn to produce and record my own music. And I started making music. And the thing about Toronto is, Toronto rap is almost primarily gangster rap, which I feel like is in a lot of places. That's kind of the culture of rap usually. But in Toronto, it was always like to the next level, where it was always the guys that were gang affiliated and rapping about who exactly, name dropping who they're killing and who they're doing this to and that to. So it was very, very gang affiliated. And, I had a studio, so I was bringing a lot of these people to my house to record and everything. and I was making my music. So I got really sucked in to the wrong crowd. Um, which, long story short, drugs, selling drugs, all of the above, a lot of violence, a few times close to death. I've been gun to my head, I've been, knife to my neck. I've been in a lot of sticky situations, and it all happened because of, me wanting to pursue music and lashing out, right? Rebelling in every way I could against my parents and what they wanted. I just kind of felt like it's my life. Like, I love you guys, but like, respectfully, like, leave me alone. Like, what I'm saying? I'm an adult. I can do what I want to do. So there's a lot of pain, a lot of hurt in those situations, a lot of questioning God, throwing it back, going back to my friend that passed away, and a couple other things that, I went through in life, which, we all go through things in life. But I just wasn't dealing with it properly. I wasn't like trying to deal with it properly. I did not care at all about my life. I did not care about death. I did not care about anything at all. But again, long story short, with that stage of my life in that rebellion, I started to feel convicted, because when I was a kid, I got baptized when I was 12. I don't know how legit that was. I don't know how serious I was. I do believe, like, I definitely was excited to do that, and I know that I was. They didn't just let me get baptized. Like, I had to go through you know, through a bunch of stuff. So I know that it wasn't just like a random thing, which is why I feel strongly as to why I was heavily convicted for that period of my life. There was the period where just every single thing I was doing, I knew it was wrong. And I kept telling myself, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. But it kept coming back to me, coming back to me, coming back to me. And once I got into a situation with my friends, they were acquaintances. We used to play basketball together, do a bunch of stuff together, here and there. And it was actually one of them that set me up, and they robbed me, and they did their thing. And after that, I was just like, I was trying to figure out, like, through all the things that are happening, all the situations I'm putting myself in, I thought to myself, all these people that I'm trying to please, I'm trying to, show off to, or, I'm really just trying to make a name for myself. Sorry, be respected. You know what I mean? As an artist, just as a man, just trying to have things that I never had growing up, and just things that I really wanted in life. And I realized that all of that, I was putting all of that pain onto myself, because I chose every decision I made. It was me, right? And I chose to do those things. And I realized that the people that I was trying to impress, the people that, the world, right? I realized that it was, all, like, all these people, they didn't care about me. They didn't care if I die. If I died, they say R.I.P. and move on. A couple people will remember me, but the people who would hurt the most was my family, knowing that, I went out like a sucker pretty much, and so I started thinking about that, and about my relationship with my family, and how I desperately wanted a relationship with my family, but I was constantly leaving home, and going, just leaving, not coming back for a while, coming back, leaving, coming back. And I just realized that it's because, they're not respecting what I'm doing. They don't like what I'm doing. And so we can't really get along. We don't align, right? So, when I realized that my family is who I was hurting the most, and they're the ones that actually cared about me more than anybody in the world that I was trying to impress, I tried to start to rekindle that relationship, and I tried to kind of stay away from a couple things. I tried to get out of a couple things, slowly. Started going back to church. I missed a few people that I grew up with that I hadn't seen in a long time. So, I started going back to church. And then the big thing that was the big switch was, I was going to church. I was still, living in sin. I was still smoking. I was still drinking a little bit. My friends invite me out to the club, and I was like, I'm not gonna go. I'm not doing that. Like, I was just at a church event and everything, and they convinced me to come out. I was like, you know what? I'll come out, but I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna drink. I get there. I tell the bartender I'm driving, even though I'm not driving. I just didn't want to drink. I was really trying to like keep myself on the right path, you know. And next thing you know, he's giving out free shots and free this, free that. I started taking it, and that, long story short, on that one, I end up waking up in the hospital, and I had like a double blood transfusion. They don't know if I had like been spiked or if whatever happened. They thought I was on some sort of drugs. I told them, my friends were saying I didn't take no drugs. I was just drinking, and you know, so my heart almost stopped. It was real low. I woke up. They told me, you know, you almost died. Stop drinking. And I have that piece of paper somewhere where from the doctor. It says you almost died. Stop drinking. And I remember going home at like 6, 7 in the morning, walking in my front door with like the hospital gown on and like all these like patches all over my body, just honestly praying that my mom wasn't awake because I knew she was gonna freak out if she see me. So I went. She wasn't awake. I went straight downstairs. I went to sleep for like a day almost. Like it was like all day I was sleeping. And I think she opened the door at night and she seen everything. She screamed and I was just like, I was still out of it, you know. So
Busted.
it was crazy. But after that, I got real like a lot of nightmares, like a lot of flashbacks of times that I almost passed, and just like constantly thinking like if I died that night, like who would I be remembered as, and like how would my family remember me, and like how would that look on my parents who are, you know, pastors, and it's like how's that gonna look to the community, and how is that like for the work God's done in their life, how is that gonna reflect, you know, I don't believe that that would have reflected properly how well my parents raised me, right? So I started thinking about all these things, and slowly, that was when, you know, I stopped drinking completely. I haven't touched alcohol since that night. Not once, not even a sip, not even on my wedding, never. You know, I vowed to, you know, I'm gonna stay away from all that stuff. And I was still smoking, and then one night I I was smoking. And I was I opened the Bible app, and I was just like, you know, let's check it out. Let's see. It's been a while since I've been in here, and I tell this to everyone that I tell my testimony to. I really wish I screenshotted the verse of the day, but I didn't. So I to this day I don't remember. I mean, I was high, so to be honest, right? So I don't remember what it said. I just remember feeling super convicted and super like this is talking directly to me, like all to me. I look at it, I go to bed, and I think, whatever, coincidence, right? Second night, same thing. I have my little routine, right? I smoke, and then I open the Bible app again. And then there was a different verse of the day, and again, spoke right to me, like directly to me. And then again, you know how we are, we're stubborn. I was coincidence. Third time, that was when I was like, all right, I'm never smoking again. I'm never doing this, that. I'm not touching any of this stuff again. And that night I threw everything in the trash, and thank God I've never been back there. So I told God, I was like, this is it. This is the day. That was October 28th, 2019. That was the day that,
I love,
yeah,
and you're not the first person to like tell me the exact date, but I
yeah,
love how when I talk to artists, like that was a defining moment. That was the turning of the tide.
yeah, yeah.
So tell me where you go when, or where you were when you were like, okay, God and music meet. Like, how was that moment for you?
Yeah, so that one took a while. That one took a while. When I say a while, I mean it was like 6, 7 months of really going through it in my head. Because remember, my whole association with music was gang rap, Toronto rap, was just a lot of negative things. So in my head, I'm freaking out a little bit because I'm like, what am I gonna do now? Right? I really wanted to pursue music. I didn't go to college. I didn't pursue anything else. You know, I worked odd jobs always here and there. Um, you know, so I really had no clue. I'm like, I mean, I can't make money selling drugs. Can't make money off music. Like, am I gonna go back to school? I talked about, maybe becoming a firefighter, doing this or that. But I wasn't. I was like, God, I don't know what to do. Like, I just know I can't make music because, I mean, there's nothing good coming out of music. And then I actually remember after a few months of kind of going back and forth with that idea, there's I'd say three key things that really led me there. First one was I did grow up listening to Christian rap, because I grew up in a Christian home. So I did grow up listening to the Lecrae's, the Tripleys, the Andy Minios, those guys, Tadashi. Um, so there's an influence there, knowing that, okay, people do this. It's possible to do it. My biggest setback with that was all these people that know me from my music, because I had just started getting like a little bit of traction. Like I wasn't as big as I am now. Like I was just on that verge of going crazy. I just started getting radio play in Toronto and everything, and things were moving. But I was like, I don't know, like all these people that know me and know my music, they're not like, I'm starting from scratch. Like they're not gonna like it. They're not gonna. So then the next thing that brought me closer to the idea was I remember in 2018 when I was still doing worldly music, I went to Atlanta for a concert and I actually met two artists, Terrence Penny and Vashon, and they're locals from Toronto. And when I met these guys, I was like, you guys are from Toronto? I'm from Toronto. Like, what are we doing in Atlanta? Like, you know? And then I find out that one of the guys, Vashon, he actually went to the same high school as me. He's just a little bit older, right? Um, it was this showcase event. I was rapping about what I was rapping about. These two guys get up on there and they start rapping about God. And I remember I was out of my mind, but I remember having like a lot of conversation with these guys and really respecting what they were doing. Like as I was in the world, I was like, I really respect the fact that these guys are out here, no shame, right? So that's when I realized, I was like, there are people, even if it's not a lot, there are people from my city who are out here pursuing this and rapping for God. And if they can go to a new city, Atlanta, and perform about God in front of a bunch of people who like most likely do not care about God, I was like, that right there was my kind of motivation and understanding that like I can do that. It's hard, it's not easy, but I can do that, right? And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, forget the third one. Those are those are the two most I guess important things. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it up. But that's kind of and then eventually I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just try it. I recorded a verse, I put it on Instagram, and I had deleted my Instagram completely for like 6 months to 8 months, and I put that clip on there, and I started getting a lot of like love and respect for what I was doing. And I was like, that's weird. Like I expected all these people to just hate on it and be like, what the heck is this guy doing? And some people did, obviously, like it is what it is. But once I posted that, I already knew. I was like, I do not care what anybody says. I'm sold out. Like I'm in here for Christ. Like I'm gonna do it, and nobody's gonna really bring me down and tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. So that was like the process kind of behind that.
And so in 2020, well, according to Spotify, 2020 was your first official release. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then so you did 5 releases in 2020. Then you had a bang out year 2021. It was 27 releases.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
13 in 2022. And then you kind of slowed down a little bit in 2023.
Yeah.
So that bang out year 2021, you were like on fire.
Yeah. 2021 was crazy. 2021 was different. I mean, I had an album like very early in 2021, and then the rest was like I had a run of like I think it was like over 22 weeks in a row of just a single every single week.
That's wild. And so as I'm talking, as I'm prepping for our conversation, I'm like listening to all your music, and of course they switch it up and mix it up, but it's like a who's who of CHH. You have a collaboration with Don Reddy, which I absolutely adore, Breno, who's amazing, Caleb Gordon. You worked with 1K Few. I don't know if he was like producing or it was Wawa. It was the video for Wawa, and he was there.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, you know everybody. So how did that happen so quick for you?
Honestly, it all starts with a DM, as it always does.
As it always as it happens.
TJ TJ Carroll, he's also on Wawa. TJ Carroll DM'd me early 2020 or late 2019, around the begin. No, it was 2020. He messaged me after like I had already released a couple songs. And from that DM, we connected. I listened to some of his snippets he had on Instagram, and we just started working. We were both kind of smaller artists trying to make a name, and that from that DM, we made some music together, and we got real close over quarantine. We was just FaceTime, PlayStation, like nothing better to do. We were just making music and hanging out, and through that I had always planned on going to the States to go and check him and hang out and see what's going on. And it was March of 2021. March of 2021, I finally went out there. First day out there off the flight, he brought me out to a show that he was performing at, and then Caleb was also performing at. He had met with Caleb around that time, maybe a little bit earlier. But before, it was like right around the time West Orlando Flow came out. So like right when Caleb started really popping off. And from that concert, we were all hanging out, and me and TJ had recorded a few songs that week, and we actually did 3 music videos that week. Wawa and Relentless, we recorded that week and did the videos for that week. And Caleb just FaceTimed TJ while I was there and was just like, we got to make a song. And I made the hook. And then TJ, we were on our way to Orlando. He recorded in the hotel, and then Caleb recorded like the day of the video shoot. And then he had a concert in Jacksonville that we had went to, because Caleb won like some competition for Miles Minute, like one of the open verse challenges. So he was bringing him out to perform. And after the show, we had planned on doing the video for Wawa, and that's when 1K Few, Uncle Reese, and all them guys were performing. So they kind of popped out. They were leaving, and they saw us recording a video, and they were just like, "We want to get in on this. Like, can we hop in?" And we were like, "Yeah, of course." So
How do you say no to 1K View?
I know, right? So that was like, I don't really know him personally. That one was more of like just a just a coincidence. Just kind of like, we're
It was so
here.
pretty
We want to
cool.
be a part of it. For me, it was pretty cool too, because I listened to 1K Few a lot before, so seeing him there and everything was cool. But yeah, a lot of connections have come from just DMs. Like Breno, Don Reddy actually he DM'd me for a feature for that song, and he was all like, just hit me up like, I want to work with you. And I was like, bro, you're tough, like, let's do something. So
Yeah,
I got him
that
on
song
the song.
is hot. I love that song.
Mm.
I wish I could have put it on replay, but yeah, it was great. I was just like listening like in serial as much as I could. So 2023, you kind of slowed down a little bit. What was going on in your life? Was that kind of I feel like you have a lot of vulnerable moments in your music, and you were like, I'm about to get vulnerable. I'm like, dude, you've been vulnerable this entire time. I feel like you're very open, very transparent about the struggles that you've been going through, like as an artist. Tell us what was going on in 2023.
Yeah, so 2023 is when I moved to America. Before that, beginning of 2023, we had been waiting over a year and a half, about a year and a half, for processing to come to America. So this was a time that was tough because between September of 2021, my wife and I moved officially to Toronto. We were in Texas. We got married in Texas. We moved to Toronto. We thought we were going to stay in Toronto. That was the plan, was to get her residency and stay there. She's from Texas. She's from South Texas. She hated the snow. It was super, super expensive to live there. And it's just something felt missing with the music because there wasn't a lot of opportunities per se there. I almost had to make my own opportunities. Like I wasn't
Mm.
getting booked for any shows in Toronto, so I did my own show in 2022. A lot of things I just felt like there wasn't anybody really out there to do it, and kind of like I felt like everything was in America, and I had wanted to move to Florida for a long time. Being out there with TJ and my friend Andrew who does videos and stuff, and we decided that we were gonna switch it up. We prayed about it, and we were like, we're gonna go to Florida. So then we started the green card process, so I can get my green card. And it was during COVID, so everything was backed up like crazy.
Yeah.
So this is from a moment of we're going back and forth, 6 months in Canada, 6 months in America, because I couldn't be in America for more than 6 months. My wife couldn't be in Canada for more than 6 months. And then between that, I can't work in America. She can't work in Canada. So we're
Oh
going
boy.
between jobs. We're doing every single thing we can to stay together, no matter how broke we are and how many times we had to switch jobs and just the commitments of being away from each other's homes for that amount of time. So it was very difficult, and we really just wanted to really start our lives together. And that was the green card, and being able to move was, kind of the beginning of, okay, we can finally actually like both work, we can both, legally live here and not worry about
Stop moving
immigration
back and
problems.
forth.
And
Ugh.
exactly, stop moving
Mhm.
back. Like that was a big one. Was we've driven from Texas to Toronto like 3 times now. It's like
You
31 hours.
drove? Oh my god.
Yeah, because we had to move all our stuff with us, and the flights were
Bless
more
your hearts.
expensive. So we didn't have a lot of money because we were only one income the whole time, right? And the music, I was making a little bit of money, but it wasn't anything that was sustaining us. So that's where 2023 slowed down. I was working a lot more, trying to save money so that we could actually afford to move, because you got to pay for all this processing for the green card to get approved to come to America, and then you got to move. So you got to have enough money, apartment, first and last. You got to have money to furnish that apartment, because or pay like 3-4 grand for a U-Haul and move all your stuff down. So there's a lot of stuff that got in the way, and that's where that song "Patience" really came in. It was about being patient for that, like for like understanding that everything's in God's time, and knowing that we desperately want to go and start, but there's a reason why we're still here in Toronto. There's a reason why he hasn't gotten it approved yet, and whatever happens, it's like it was like overwhelming. And then that song was really a reminder to me, but it was really like for my wife as well. And I showed her, and it gave her peace as well, of just like that understanding and reminder from God that like everything is in his timing, everything's his plan, and the whole like, if he's gonna feed the birds, like how much more, does he love us? He's gonna provide for us. And that's why that song "Patience" was Matthew 6:26. But then I decided, I'm gonna just name it "Patience." It kind of it fit what I was going for a little more. But that's where that was, and there was like, yeah, a lot of moving back and forth, a lot of moving parts, a lot of reasons why, I'm moving my whole studio equipment to Texas and then to Toronto. And it's like I'm going from working full time to like not working at all, almost having too much free time, where it's like, I was like, I don't even want to make music right now, because it's just like I've been in this,
Not
just
in the mood.
so much yeah, not in the
Yeah.
mood, just a lot going on. So that
That's
was, yeah.
bananas. So you finally get to the States. You're now with your wife. Thank God you can start moving. Like I am a military spouse. I have moved like 9 times. So I feel your pain.
Mhm,
Um so you decided to take a break from making CHH.
mhm.
Why? You're
So
doing so good.
that one, that one was from May 2024 till now.
Mhm.
And that one, there's always a reason, and I'm trying to stop this from happening, and just being more disciplined. But I'm a first time dad, so my son was born June 18th, 2024. So that one was I was going through it with work, and I was switching jobs because I knew I had a son coming any minute, and I didn't want to be at a point where I couldn't provide enough where my wife could stay home. And that was one of the reasons we actually moved to Texas instead of Florida. Was my wife had family here, so we had a little bit of help, and also because we could afford over here for her to stay at home and be able to, avoid daycare and all that stuff, and just things we wouldn't have been able to do in Toronto or Florida. Um, so yeah, that was like I started in a new job, new company, whole new position, learning that. Um, Took a lot of time, and then newborn, right? So right after I'm in this new job, learning everything new, newborn stage, and I just got to a point where I still felt like I needed more money, so I kind of made a shift to try to just realize like maybe making music, it's fun, but maybe it's something that I keep to myself. Maybe it's like I kind of like go more into the audio engineering, which I've been doing, since I was in like a lot younger, even since I was in high school. I've been learning audio engineering. So I kind of did that as like a pivot, and just like understanding that I've never been a huge social media guy. I've never been really into the whole trends and all this stuff. And I've noticed that, if you do the trends, people tend to go a lot further. And I just realized that maybe this day of being an artist was just like not for me, and maybe it was time to pivot and just try to help other people shine and help with engineering and producing and just kind of like on the back end of stuff, and just things that like brought me out of the spotlight, and just like forget about me. Like I just want to make money in music and be in like the background, because there tends to be more money in the background sometimes if you do it right. But again, I was too quick. It was in a weird headspace with a newborn son, new job, everything. I was too quick to speak on that, and very quickly I realized that that was a mistake, saying those things and saying that like that was the direction I wanted to go. Because I realized like, man, did I just like stop myself from being able to release more music or be able
Mm.
to do what I love? And I remembered, I had to remember why I started. I had to remember that like it was never about the money,
Mm.
and it was hard because I never went to school. I never saw myself in a career. I've worked over 25 different jobs, just a whole bunch of different industries. I've never found something that I've liked enough to stick it out for more than like 8 months, right? So it was really just kind of trying to figure that out. Like it always felt like it was music or nothing. Like if I don't make music, what am I gonna do to provide? Now it's I'm in a job that's providing, and I'm liking it, I'm doing well. It's a sales job. I like talking, so I found something else that I enjoy, that gives me stability, and I actually learn a lot being in a lot of rooms, and speaking like publicly, and it's helped me a lot with even things like this, things like performances and stuff. I've found that I've opened up a lot more, and it's been easier to talk and not be nervous, just through these experiences. So I really realized that maybe like I had to bring it back to, I never started making music for money in the first place. Yes, I didn't know what I was going to do for money. I just knew God was going to provide. But this whole thing wasn't supposed to be about money. It wasn't supposed to be about attention. It was just supposed to be about influence and about impacting not even the world. Like my dream was always, it was Toronto was my city. Like that was the dream. Like I wasn't even thinking about like impacting the world at this point. I'm just thinking about my own people, like the people that I personally know, and then going from there in my city, and then going from there and seeing where God takes it. But I had to realize, right? Like I'm okay with working full time and doing the music on the side and figuring those things out in between of the scheduling and stuff. And my job is very flexible, thank God. So I can if I need to take a Friday off or I need to take this day off, and I can do music things and do performances and stuff like that. But I realized that, like, my goal was never to tour the world. My goal was never to sell out shows and sell out merch and be a big businessman and all these things. It was just to make good music and impact people around me. So once I realized that, that's where this run's coming from right now. Where this 2025 run of, I'm dropping singles every other week until my EP, and then from there I'm doing a rollout for an album, and I'm looking at around 20 songs dropping in the first half of 2025, and I got a late start. I just started February 28th. So, I'm gearing up for a big 2025, and it's all coming from that understanding of just like remembering why I started doing music and not caring about, how much money, like, I don't have enough money to do a promo video for this thing or to do a music video here. It's like, it's okay. Like, I'm going to drop the song. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to see what God does with it. I'm going to see what opportunities God brings. I mean, this was an unexpected opportunity from a song that, was just kind of just a first drop. I wasn't expecting too much from it. I didn't have any real promo videos or reels or anything to go with it. So, it's just, I'm finding the joy in making music again. And that joy has come and gone a lot, and every time it becomes about the money or it becomes about the business or it becomes about where I'm at with the music, it steals that joy from me. So I'm in a space where I feel like I've matured a lot during these times where I don't see I could see myself maybe slowing down, as in, not dropping 20 songs in the span of, 4 or 5 months, but, I know that, that God's calling me to something here with the music, whether it's just Toronto and the people around me, or if it's something bigger. I'm willing to step into whatever he's calling me to. And there's a lot more joy in it, and I'm making music that I love. And again, I don't care if people like it, I don't care if people hate it. I'm making it for me and the people around me. So that's really, once I realized those things, it's been so much easier to just freely create and freely come up with release plans and actually just do it you know
I feel like there was the reason why I reached out to you was because I saw that you were a new dad. And I had I have an older daughter, so I have a 10-year-old, and then I have a rainbow baby, and she's 4. And so I'm not as young as I look. I am older. And so having that second baby the second time around just rocked my world all over again. So when I saw you, with the baby carrier, and I was like, oh, he took that break. Kids will mess you up, like that whole sleep deprivation thing, like it'll mess you up like nobody's business. But I feel like in your story there is a very beautiful surrender is the word. And like not so much surrender as in, okay, I give up, but more like, okay, I surrendered this gift for something other than, the business, the money, you surrender it all just for like the love of God, for the worship, for the impact of your people, which I think was great. And I'm so glad we got to hear that story. So Affiliate was the song that you just released, the one that started this whole conversation. So tell us how that came about.
Yeah, that one that was one of the first songs that I recorded from that break. I wasn't just not releasing music for that period of time. Like, I really wasn't making any music at all. I I have this room. I have an apartment right now that I have an extra room specifically for the studio. And every time I looked at it, I felt guilty, and I just closed the door and I didn't walk in. And it was part of that time that I was going through. But it was the first song back that, after I had announced that I wasn't going to be dropping music anymore, And I mean, it's a little bit of like, I mean, I noticed a lot of people when I posted that I wasn't gonna be dropping music anymore. I noticed a lot of support, and I really like that people were supportive of, what, if they're like, if you think this is what God's calling you to, like, I support it 100%. But it was a lot of people that like had never said anything, maybe supported in the background, but never was vocal with me about supporting my music when I was making music, right? And then, it was kind of just like, it was kind of interesting to me that, like, you know they're supporting me now. I don't know if it's because, some people can be a little bit competitive when it comes to music. Even in Christian music, you see it, the competitiveness. And I found it kind of weird. So I kind of addressed a little bit about that, and then at the same time, I addressed the fact that I don't care about competition. Like, I'm literally just I was just talking. I was just really just talking. There's no hook on the song. It's just it's just bars throughout. Like, it's really like a simple, different but simple, beat and structure and everything. And I was really just speaking my mind about the past 8 months, or like kind of like what I've observed, and kind of a bit about that surrender as well. Just like, I'm not doing it for the competition. I'm not doing it for this. I'm not doing it for that. Like, I don't care what people think. And, I have a few songs where, same kind of subject matter. But this one was really just something that always felt like, if when I'm ready to start releasing music again, like, this has to be my first drop as like I'm back. You know what I mean? Like, I know I said this, and it's like, I apologize. I jumped the gun. I shouldn't have spoke so soon. I don't care if I look goofy for saying something and then going back on it. I learned from that. Now, I know more than ever. If something like this happens again, stay silent, until I, really figure it out. But even then, it's like, I don't owe anyone anything. I don't owe social media, like, I'm back, or I'm gonna stop making music. Like, people, I like to bring people along my personal life, and my thought processes and things. But at the end of the day, I don't owe it to anyone to tell them those things. So I've learned that, like, I'm just gonna keep some things to myself, and then go from there until I know for sure, like, instead of jumping the gun like that. But yeah, this song is really like a, like, it's, again, I mean, for me, I love that y'all loved it. I love that. I wasn't my favorite. Like, I like it. Um, it wasn't my favorite. It was more of just like this is like a, like, something to come out the gate swinging. Like, it's not like a bop or anything. Like, it's not super catchy, or, like, it's not. I don't think it's like something that's like super replay value. It's more of like a statement piece. And then after the statement piece, it's like, now I have, like, I just want people to know that I got like a lot coming, and a lot of different stuff, and a lot of home, like a lot of Toronto sounds and stuff. So
Yeah, it's super dope. Like, I was trying to think of a way to describe your music, like, even to myself, because I talk with so many artists. It's neat to try to put you guys in buckets. It never works, but I try.
mm,
And so I was like, okay, how would I describe? I would describe your music as like just chill bars. Like, you got bars. There's no denying that, but it's so super chill. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm just like grooving to your music, and it's such a vibe. So you have your affiliate out. Talk to us about your upcoming EP if you can.
yeah,
Um,
I can. It's just a short EP. It's melodic. It's got some more Toronto melodic sounds in it. I do have a music video to go with one of the songs. It's gonna be 5 songs. Um, Pretty short, not very long songs. A couple 2-minute songs, 1 or 2 3-minute songs. It's really just, right now. I'm building up the singles to get to the EP. I'm gonna release one of the EP songs as a single first before I drop the EP. But I want to give people like a small taste, like a body of work before the album, while I'm gearing up, and just something to kind of bring a little bit more hype and promo to the album, even though it's not directly a part of the album. But it's been a while since I've done any sort of project. I did Patience in the beginning of last year. It was more of like a playlist kind of like, it was an album, but it wasn't like they weren't all new songs. They were pretty much all songs that I was kind of bringing back, and then like another new song that was on there. So this will be like the first kind of, even though it's small, body of work that I'm gonna put out that has like a certain style to it, and they all kind of flow together. So it's like a little taste for the album, and it's gonna be coming out at the end of April. I think the last Friday, whatever date the last Friday of April is, I think it's maybe the 24th. I'm not 100% sure. But that's what we're gearing up for right now.
Well, that's awesome. I am so excited for you. I'm excited about your comeback, and so glad that you got to share your very impactful story. You had so many adventures before coming to Christ, but we are so glad that you're here to make awesome music. Hang out with me after we're done. Tell us where we can find your music.
I mean, you can find my music on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Deezer, YouTube, Amazon, wherever you can find music, wherever you stream music, it's available. SoundCloud, I think, is the only place where I haven't kept up to date with uploading. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get that done. It's gonna be on SoundCloud. And then on Instagram, social media. I got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's Ayomilly everywhere. The only one is Instagram. I have two Y's at the end of Ayomilly because some random dude who doesn't even use Instagram has Ayomilly with one Y. I've been trying to get it for like 3 years now, 4 years now. So hopefully one day God will bless me with it. But for now, it's Ayomilly, Ayomilly on all platforms, and two Y's on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you, Millie, so much for hanging out with us.
No problem.